the actual red line, the defenders.
I think it's like
I hold my hands up, man. I was screaming, this World Cup is dead, it's dead, it's dead. And I genuinely believed it. But you know what? I'm a believer. It's turning lit, it's turning cold. Please, can we talk about Lionel Messi, Haaland, and Mbappe? Please, can we start with Kylian Mbappe? You lot always try and gaslight me to not rate him and stuff. Like, I'm 31. Arguably, when it comes to the World Cup, Mbappe is one of the best players I've seen in terms of what he does. You know, again, ability, all that kind of jazz. That's not the debate. In terms of the World Cup, the man is a GOAT. You know, he scored a hat-trick in the 2022 final. We all saw what France did when they won the World Cup, and he started off in the same vein. Now, when you go and watch the France versus Senegal game, in many ways, football's cruel, innit? Football's cruel because there's things Senegal could have done better. Naturally, goals change games on the best of days. But I think the African sides have done very well and given a good account of themselves in the World Cup. I think they matched France. I think the first half, I think it was a low-key affair. I think France had one shot, none on target, and I think Senegal had like 3-4 shots, none on target. Obviously, the Ismail Assar chance where Nicholas Jackson's hit the post. There was that penalty incident where it wasn't given. You know, the lad that came off the bench from Senegal sat that guy on his ass and scored a great goal for Senegal. And at 2-1, it looked like it could be nervy for France. And then Mbappe with his second goal, obviously it was a banger. And there's a lot to unpack, man. I think Turkey had a stinker off the bench. I feel it was a great little moment with Mike McGahn with the deflected effort of Tchouaméni, and there was a bit of handball going on. But I think the Senegalese gave a good account of themselves. I think they defended well. I think they grew in confidence. I feel they should be kicking themselves that they never scored goals. I think the three, but the first two they conceded, probably one for the tactical analysis on the training front where they could have, they could have done a bit better. And you know what? For me, France turned on the style in the second half. It was an indifferent first half. You know, the first half was on brand with what we've seen from the bigger nations in their first group stage game of the World Cup people. I think France had limited ideas. Big up Saliba for that block, by the way. You know, I do think France can be got at. And what I mean by got at, I have France as the favourites right now. Admittedly, I can't see a clear favourite for the World Cup. I do think they could be got at the counter-attack. I do think defensively they can be got at. Upamecano and Saliba are quality, as is obviously Condé at right back, as is Fernandes. But I feel they can get caught ball watching. And what I mean by that is, obviously, Fernandes got cooked for the goal. But if you remember the Ismail Assar chance, he's actually made a great run. He's unmarked. If he scores that, there's another opportunity there. I think the gaps with the left centre-back and the left back, the right-sided centre-half and the right back, sometimes the two centre-halves, that could be got at. But then, you know, France just have that individual quality because they weren't at their best. They could just turn it on. In the second half, at least Dembele was poor, I must admit. And Doué was indifferent, but Dembele turned up. And Mbappe couldn't sort his first touch up out for large periods of the game. But, you know, at least they should have had about 10 assists. Obviously, he's got 2 assists for Mbappe. He's found Mbappe for that first goal. Mbappe's done what Mbappe does at a World Cup, people. And then obviously the second goal is the third goal, Mbappe's second, is an absolute banger. I'm looking at it here, people. 15 World Cup games, 14 World Cup goals. You can't deny Kylian Mbappe is a World Cup GOAT. When it comes to the World Cup and turning up for the nation, he makes it happen, people. France just got too much strength in depth. Their individual quality will always shine through if you give them chances. I do think they need more width, you know, because in the first half, it looked like square pegs in round holes. Like Elise's dropping deep, Dembele's in little pockets. Mbappe's playing poor anyways, but he's quite isolated. They tweaked things in the second half. I think Rabiot had a good game as well, man. So yeah, commiserations for Senegal. Mbappe's a World Cup goal. I mean, you can't argue with it. Speaking of goals, Lionel Messi, the man's been doing it for over 20 years. You know, I think his first World Cup was 2006. He's still doing it in 2026. Probably should have been sent off. Obviously scored a hat-trick. It's mad because Lionel Messi is the greatest ever player to have done it, and I'm sounding a bit too casual with it. It's because it's Lionel Messi. Probably should have been sent off, but he scored a hat-trick and you can see what it means to him. And to be fair, for one of the goals, I can't remember which one, Rodrigo de Paul, absolute lovely ball to find Messi. Messi just shows he's a GOAT, man. My man ain't been playing in Europe in however long, and now look, I do think, you know, the World Cup is shaping up, man. I have to even big up Jordan and Austria. That was a decent game. Bangers, obviously drama, VAR controversy, etc., etc. Iraq versus Norway was a decent game for me personally as well, folks. You know, I must admit, obviously Odegaard's there. Lovely to see Odegaard got an assist. Haaland making his World Cup debut, got a brace. And you know what? I want to know with you lot, who would you lot put money on to win the Golden Boot at the World Cup? Because Haaland, I'm sure, you know, a lot of people are betting on him. Obviously, I don't know how far Norway are going to go. You know, people probably bet on Ronaldo. Messi's obviously got a hat trick. And if it wasn't for that hat trick, you know, Mbappe has not only got 14 World Cup goals in 15 games, he's obviously moved, you know, he's become France's outright scorer now. He's on 57, isn't it? So he's going to obviously fix that up. And if it wasn't for Messi's hat trick, and it still could be, and Messi might keep doing Messi stuff, Mbappe probably could have become, by the end of this tournament, depending on how much he has his shooting boots on, the all-round goal scorer for the World Cup. You know, I think he was closing in on close. I think Messi's actually drawn that. And I think Messi's actually got a statistic, something about the youngest goal scorer for Argentina and the oldest goal scorer for Argentina. You know, Messi's always breaking statistics, and it will be here all day. Yeah. So big up Haaland for the brace. The second goal from Haaland, that's just a training ground. You know, he's just chased the lost cause. The goalkeeper's messed up. I must admit, I have to say sorry about the World Cup. Some of the games have been boring. All I can complain about right now is the hydration break. Again, I still think there's too much hydration breaks. I understand player welfare, but it's designed to have adverts. But it's kicking on, man. And I think, you know what? I do think, for me personally, France versus Senegal is probably the most entertaining game I've seen. I did enjoy Algeria versus Argentina. Don't get it twisted. I still had Argentina to win, but I just thought, you know, African style, South American style World Cup is going to be a bit more of a close encounter. I can't say I couldn't predict a Messi hat trick, because even if you couldn't predict it, it's death taxes and Messi doing madness, in it, madman, in it. It is what it is in that regards. But I did think it was going to be a closer encounter. You know, Norway have got off to a great form, and the French are probably the favourites. Like, again, I don't think there's an overall favourite of this World Cup so far. Yes, and the one thing I'm even having to take heed of, yeah, it's still early days. The tournament is growing into it, and bit by bit, it's getting better and better. The smaller games, the smaller nations, the ones on in the United Kingdom at stupid o'clock like 2 a.m., they've been good. But, and granted, I haven't seen the English play. I think Argentina don't look amazing, but they're one of the better, bigger nations. I think France in the first half versus France in the second half, it gives you food for thought. I think Spain, obviously, we know how Spain are going to play, and we watched that Cape Verde game. I think there's concerns there. I'll be honest, I think of the bigger nations, Brazil probably looked the worst. So, yeah, man. Do you think this World Cup could be where there's a dark horse, or there's an underdog, or someone wins where you don't expect him to? So, yeah, it could be interesting. The Belgium game, you know, shout to Lukaku for engineering a goal in that game as well. It'd be interesting, man. It'd be interesting, because on one hand, I don't see how anyone stops the French. You can never look past Argentina. I do think it's too early to be seeing who's going to win it and whatnot. But this World Cup does look like it's free game, man. It does look like, if anything, the smaller nations have probably, you know, how can I make it make sense? The smaller nations have probably lived up to expectation more than the bigger nations. Like, the bigger nations at this moment in time, it's been moments of magic, moments of brilliance, but consistently throughout the 90 minutes, there's food for thought for everyone. Why that's the case, I don't know. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. I have to apologize for my jumping the gun about the World Cup. I think it's now getting into gear, man.